I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Pownal Planning Commission on Tuesday, September 16th, 2016, starting at 7:05.
2014.
2014, thank you. Starting at 7:05. I think probably before approving the agenda and all, because we have members, we are televised, and we have members who have not been at previous televised meetings, that will do once again the introductions. I'm Rosemary Pelletier, and I'm vice chair. I'm chairing this meeting in the absence of our chair, Sid Smithers.
I'm Pete Dewey.
Julie Labert.
Jim Winchester.
Rick Morgenthau.
Nelson Brownell, zoning administrator.
Mike Slattery, North Pownal.
Thank you. I'd like approval of the agenda first.
I will move that we approve the agenda.
I second.
Okay. I would, I'd like to add an item on other business before voting on this.
Okay.
I thought, since we're being televised and this is an active initiative from the commission, that I would use the fact that we're televised to reiterate about the scrap metal and do that under other business.
I will move that with the addition of scrap metal to other business, that we approve the amended agenda for Tuesday, September 16th.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay.
Then we need to, if we're gonna talk about the draft for why updating the town plan is critical, that Nelson just gave us.
Okay.
That has to be added to.
Okay. So that would be new business?
No, we can put
Or
it under
Other business?
with
Okay.
the town plan.
Okay, then let's change this to both include the acknowledgement of the two inter-office memorandums that Sid had sent to us, putting forth his thoughts on history and the beginning of the process of putting a letter together to get our grant. Let's also discuss the letter that was sent to us and has since been amended slightly by Nelson, and also the town plan consultant process. So, the letters of why updating the town plan to get the grant, the town plan consultant process, which is part of due process, and the two interoffice memorandums. How we doing? We're okay?
I have it
So
already.
with
Okay.
those additions,
Additions. Okay.
let's
All those-
move to amend the amended agenda for September
Okay.
16th, 2014.
All those in favor of the amended minutes or agenda?
Who seconded?
I second the
Okay.
motion.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now we can.
Okay.
Now we can vote.
Now we can approve.
Well, any more discussion?
Any more
Now
discussion
you're almost
on the
afraid to
agenda?
ask.
I know.
Yeah.
Any more discussion on the agenda? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions? Okay. The first item on the agenda is approval of the regular minutes of the August 19th meeting.
Yes.
Are there any, is
These-
there a motion to approve, or are there any comments?
Julie,
first?
you sent these out, didn't you? The regular ones, I
Yeah.
think. And then
I
you
sent
sent
both
the
of
other
them.
ones
Yeah.
out under more minutes.
Yes.
And I did read this, and I didn't see anything that needed changing, so I'll move that we approve the August 19 regular meeting minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, so approved.
Yeah, Peter abstained, right? He wasn't.
Yes.
Might have been at that one.
Peter was
Yeah.
not.
No, you were
Yeah,
there.
he was there. He was there.
Yep.
Right.
He was the alternate.
next batch.
Yeah, it's the next batch.
batch.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, then we'll move on to the special meeting, minutes of the special meeting September 9th, 2014. And I have one correction, it lists,
Yes, we need to talk about this. We were just talking about it before you got here. You're no longer an alternate, are you?
I'm no longer an alternate.
You're like a full-time band member now. You're not just sitting in.
Not just sitting there.
Yeah.
You never let me just
Well,
sit here.
I know. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so,
When Jordan stepped down,
right,
was it
The
the select
selectmen?
board?
Yes.
That's what I wanted
yeah,
to know.
yeah, the select board,
Select board said,
Said-
yes, full-time.
uh-huh. I agreed to be full-time, but they, yeah. So I was appointed by them. And
Okay.
at that point, Pete came in as an alternate,
Okay,
or right around that same time,
very good.
okay?
So we need to amend that,
So,
and I cannot make a motion. I guess I can make the motion, I just can't
you
vote
weren't,
on it
right,
because
because
I
you
wasn't
weren't
here.
here, right.
So I'll make the motion that we amend this such that Rose Marie is listed as a regular board member and not as an alternate.
I second.
Okay. Any further discussion on the minutes?
I have a new format
Okay,
only because I had to change my DRB minutes to make it much better and
Okay.
clear.
yep,
So that's why we have our minutes looking like this. It
Mm-hmm.
is easier for me to do both the same.
Flow
right,
nicely.
sure.
They really
And
do flow
they flow
nicely.
nice.
We can
So
follow
I
them
wanna,
and, you know,
that's why they're like they are,
Uh-huh,
to make it easier for me.
right, okay, and it works well for us too,
it's more better.
yeah.
It's more better, as they say here.
So all those in favor of approving the minutes of the special meeting
Good
on
call.
September 9th?
I'll move to approve it.
Okay, okay, all those in favor?
I abstain.
Aye.
Okay, there's an abstention. Any opposed? Okay, those are approved. Let me go back to these minutes.
Pete, you got to abstain too, right?
On that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, the two, special one last
Special.
Tuesday.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you were.
Tuesday, yeah, that's right. Okay. Okay, Julie DeMayo?
Give me 1 second.
Sure.
Were these inter-office things that were sent, memorandums to the board, part of the mail? Because I want to comment on them.
Not yet, we haven't got them in the mail.
They weren't part of
Oh,
the
no,
mail.
but were they considered part of the mail? Will this be the right time for him to comment on it? Because they
Yes.
came through the
They're gonna be as mail,
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
They're gonna be as mail. They were sent by our chairperson
right.
right.
via
Okay.
email,
You
so
would consider them other
Sounds mail.
business, but that can be mail.
we're gonna
I suppose.
discuss them in other
Right.
business.
Okay.
So if you wanna wait till other business and
That's
Comment.
fine. It just came to you by email, which is mail. So
Yeah,
Right,
Okay.
right.
comment away, I don't,
Yeah.
I
I'm not,
technically, when I wrote it, I wrote it next to my mail.
okay.
Be-
So
Fine.
we can discuss it on.
This
yes.
came to
And you
me,
can, and you can discuss them on the mail.
this came to me via mail,
They
this
all
came to
should-
me
they
via
all should-
mail.
Maybe they all should be
Okay.
So
mailed.
we don't have anything under
Okay.
other business, it's all
Right.
under mail now.
It's all under mail. Okay.
Whichever you wish.
Okay,
So let's discuss the
Julie,
mail
you're
under
on.
other business.
You are a troublemaker.
I apologize.
Can't help it.
Okay. BCRC is, the Bennington Regional Commission is meeting on Thursday, September 25th at 5:30 at Hildene, Manchester Village, Vermont.
is that their regular meeting?
Yeah.
I think so.
Oh, is it?
On today's paper, Round Herald, was something they were gonna try and
They're
do.
talking
They're gonna talk about,
watershed.
they're gonna talk about some town plans and that they're approving.
Oh, right,
And some
okay.
other things. I'm
Yeah.
planning to attend
That's-
that. yes.
Oh, yeah, they're gonna approve the Dorset Town Plan, Rupert Town Plan, and Shasberry
Right,
Town
okay.
Plan at 6 o'clock. So that's that, if you wanna look at it. And then the State of Vermont Department of Environmental Conservation, Wastewater System and Potable Water Supply. And this is for RE and C Capital Management Service, which they're in Manchester, but it has to do with, the project at Tambach. So I'm not for sure on the name, cause I thought Trevor Mance bought that. which it's at the former sawmill. But I don't know what the name. So I'm not, but it says from the guy that owned the former saw, Mr. Drumzig.
Yeah,
It's his
the
business.
Northeast lumber, yeah.
But they're,
Who knows
Yeah.
what he calls it?
Their permit came through today.
yeah, so there's their permit
Yeah.
application for that. VLCT, which is Vermont League of Cities and Towns, is doing fall planning and zoning forum on Wednesday, October 29th in Mount Hillier. And then that. And then I got from Jim Sullivan at Bennington County Regional Commission. It's improving energy efficient and new building construction. And then they sent 2 packets down for energy code assistance, which is enhancing the role of Vermont municipalities, improving efficiency in new construction.
Good. That's very timely for our town
And
plan
then
energy
there's
section.
another energy code for municipal guide for Vermont energy codes and above code programs, September 13. Which goes with that. And the chair. And then I got. Then comes Sid's inter-office
Memo.
memo, whatever that word is.
All right, yeah, let's
So
talk,
that's
we'll talk about
notes.
those now.
It's
Okay.
from notes from the August 19th meeting, and then he has, talks about with Natalie Steen and David Raphael of Landworks. And I think that's all
Probably
for
already
me.
saw these.
Which
Okay,
everybody
so-
has those
Right,
2 in their file. That's what I have for mail.
so,
Okay,
any,
so
any
we're-
questions or anything on the
Just-
other mail prior to this discussion on the interoffice
No,
memo?
nothing on the other mail, other than, Julie, maybe you can keep these in our packet, so that when we get to
I
the
do-
actual working on the town plan, the energy
I-
portion of it,
I just got them, but I'll email them to
That'd be great.
everybody so that we'll have it.
yeah. Can I
When
keep
the
one
time-
since
yeah.
there's a
So you're
couple?
gonna be sending me one, Julie?
I'll
I think
print you
they're
a
two,
copy.
Okay,
is
thank
it
you.
2 different things?
Yeah, 'cause I was
Yeah,
gonna
different
have.
things.
Oh, it is, okay, well, I'm
There's
just
2
gonna,
different ones,
I'll
so-
wait till you email them.
Okay.
You're just gonna forward them from Jim Sullivan.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'll need that copy back so I can give to Pete. 'cause he
Yeah,
doesn't
I think
have
that would be
email.
Timely,
ancient.
when we do that portion, that section of the town
Can't
plan.
get in trouble that way.
Maybe.
Okay, so comments on.
I can make a comment on this.
Yep.
I actually attended a class to do with this Energy Code Assistance Center, and I have guidelines and books. And if somebody is building a new house, I actually give them a form that they fill out and they can hang in their house that shows where they've done to meet the code that's required of this. Nobody goes around and inspects it, not even the state. But there is a number on there where they can contact people upstate that will come down and assist them in explaining how some of the things they can do for energy. And that's to
Okay.
do with new housing. Where the state actually has passed a regulation to do that, and that's where this falls in. But I took a course along with a couple of other people, and basically it was presented by this agency in the state that actually assists. And it was through the BCRC, and it probably was 6 months ago. So,
Okay.
Do they have to conform with that even though there's no inspection? Might the bank that they're mortgaging through require them to meet that criteria?
yeah, the goals of what these people were talking about is that the banks, if they don't now, will in the future for sure, look for these postings in the buildings that are new construction. They're gonna look to make sure they meet the certain standards to enable mortgages, basically.
Right.
And some other lending
That's what I thought.
agencies that might be just a straight up lending. So it's really, it both helps the builder and yet the owner as well as the state to get energy savings out of this and the people. It's a plus all around if they follow what these people are suggesting. Little more expensive, but it does meet the
Pays
need.
off in the long run.
Yes, it does.
So is this taken by choice, Nelson, to call these people as you're building a house? Or is this something that's actually required?
They should contact these people if their contractor does not know and understand the lead conditions and things of that
Okay.
nature. If they
Okay.
understand that, they don't need to call these people, but they do need to fill out this form that I
Alright.
got.
All right.
Makes sense.
And that's for new homes.
Mm-hmm.
And do they get certain tax credits as a result of, is there an incentive for them to
There-
sell it?
There is some incentives that the state sets aside for people that do lead. I don't know how that coincides with this, because that's another program where you fill something out and you send it up, and the state does come down and actually inspect it. I know my daughter did that, and they inspected it, and then she got a credit. So
Now, is this something like greenhousing? So I experienced some of that, down in Williamstown. The greenhousing, and you do have grants and,
yeah, I haven't seen, and there might be out there. I just haven't seen anything to do with grants or things where they give you money. They do provide you with funds after you've met the need. They give you some sort of credit. That's what they do, a
Okay.
tax credit like thing.
okay.
It's not that they're giving you money up front to do it.
Okay, shall we move on to the interoffice memorandum?
Sure.
If this is just sent via mail, I think back to your statement, we just need to acknowledge that we received
Received
it.
it.
I know that Nelson has a comment on certain parts of it. I'm not sure that this has to be historically correct right to the T,
No, I,
nor do we need to vote to accept it.
Right,
pardon me.
yeah,
As
it's
part
just
of-
part of the mail,
as
it's
part
an
of the mail.
acknowledgement that it came in the mail.
Yeah. I would ask the board to take them separately. One was the Pownal Planning Commission, August 19th.
Okay,
Right.
I personally have nothing to add to that. I don't know if any of the other board members do.
And which one?
this is the
The
Schreiber
single
one
page
page.
one.
August 19th. The one to do with Nellie Stein and David Rockdale,
They're both the 19th and they're both dated the 22nd.
but they have
Right,
different
but the
titles.
reference is Pownal Planning Commission on August 19th.
And that one-
one right now.
Is accurate. I mean,
It's
as far as I
fine.
can see.
No comments needed. Okay, and on the next one, notes from the August 19th meeting of the Town of Pownal Planning Commission submitted by Sid Smithers. Any comments that any members want to make on that?
Yeah, I had one comment on the last paragraph.
Okay,
Here.
Yeah, and, which basically said, I advised him that I am confident the local zoning permitting is going to be required for his activities. He seemed to acknowledge that to be the case, which is different from the approach he took with the selectmen, which was to suggest that the use of this property as a musical event venue is a pre-existing non-conforming use and protected by grandfather against zoning. I have no trouble with what this is stating, but it should be clear for the public that it's not a non-conforming use, but it's a conditional use for outdoor theaters or amphitheaters in our town, as well as racetracks and motorcycle things and so forth that he talked about. Those are conditional use within our bylaws. They're not a non-conforming use.
Okay. I agree, and I changed it in mine.
And that's just so that the
Okay.
board knows and
Yeah.
understands.
You're on the
Right.
record.
okay. Okay, any other comments on that? Okay, shall we move to the, since we got this in email also, the, why updating the town plan? The Town of Pownal town plan is critical. This is part of the information being submitted for our grant application. Anybody want to comment on this?
I know
did you
that
get
a
a copy?
draft was sent out by Sid just before he left for vacation.
Okay.
No.
Because I sent him back a reply and it was, I am gone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I knew,
you- is there something more recent than this then?
yeah, so
Okay.
I basically took the privilege of modifying that and making some changes and sending it to the board for their read. And so in case they wish to make comments. And also Natalie also said that she would be looking at it,
Okay.
just so you know.
Right.
So,
So here's my question on this. Do we need to digest these changes and have everybody look at Sid's draft and make any recommendations that you want? Do we need to do it tonight? What's the deadline for this all to go in? Aren't we right up
deadline-
against the,
the deadline is
12
that
hour.
I have to have it attached to the grant application on the 30th.
And this is only
on the
part of that.
30th? Okay.
So
Yeah.
I would like a week before that so I can actually
Right.
get it in. You know, it's.
Well,
just
we
in
don't have
case-
another meeting
No.
before the
No.
30th.
Right.
No, that's why.
Oh, you
we
don't?
said we
Okay.
do a special meeting
That's why I had
next
a
week.
special, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Should we
sorry.
wait
Or-
and see if we can do a special next week with Sid?
Why can't we, as much as I love to have him here, I think he's given the basis of a very good letter. I've read some of the changes. I
Who
mean,
did the line through?
That was me.
the blue lines
I don't
are,
have blue lines.
Okay, the lighter color. I can
Oh,
give
you don't?
I can give you
No,
a
that's
copy
why
of
I'm-
blue.
Want me to,
'Cause it didn't
you want me to
hit.
make a statement on what that is?
Sorry.
those are his corrections.
Those are his corrections.
are-
They don't come
Well-
through on the Xerox, so she
Okay.
doesn't see what.
Okay.
Thank you.
Basically
all.
what
No
I did.
blue lines?
It's hockey, isn't it?
You want me to?
Yeah, go ahead.
Basically what I did is I looked at what Sid had sent and I basically turned around and crossed out some things and added some things and tried to make it in a way that only from the past where I dealt with grant writing and application, make it more of a, here's why we not so much we're in a disaster and we need your help and so forth, but more of a reason on what we're doing and how we're doing it and what we are looking forward to have happen. Again, things that was in the other one, like they were forced to recommend the selectmen to approve. I don't think anybody was forced to do anything. I think what really happened was that you ran out of time and you asked the selectmen to basically renew the old plan.
Right.
Basically, until you were able to do something better. And that's sort of what you see here.
Right.
It's gonna make a deadline, so ask the town legislative body.
If I may interject, I think what he was saying was, I think he's saying the exact same thing with fewer words. The Pownal Planning Commission was forced to recommend to the town legislative body that by 2000, et cetera. I think it's saying the exact same thing. It was not going to make the deadline.
Right.
The Pownal Planning Commission worked at updating the town plan for 2 years, but at the end of that period was forced to recommend to the town legislative body. I think pardon me, but I think it says the exact same thing as what you're saying with fewer words. Nobody was really forced to do anything, but
So
what
the-
that infers is it put us in a position where we had to
I
recommend.
understand, I just changed
Yeah.
the wording.
Yeah, we're trying to, go ahead, I appreciate it. We're trying to use less words, fewer
So
words.
basically,
Right.
we're looking at Sid's plan here with Nelson's update.
Right,
Yes.
that's what we're
Okay.
looking at,
Yeah.
yeah.
So all in one.
It's all
Yeah.
in one.
Right.
yeah.
And we can, and I have a
Right.
copy of both, so
Right.
we can go over this here. We can discuss this some more here.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Nelson.
And basically, well, that was the first one, and I put it requires professional direction to assist. I said it would require professional direction and assist, because again, it's what we're asking them to do. And then the next one, I changed, well, I added the word to, opportunity to avail versus opportunity to avail ourselves. And then farther out, this is the last sentence on the second paragraph. And complete this, and instead of too long stalled, I put much needed, because it's needed.
Fine.
Right,
And then on the next paragraph, I put, on the second sentence, where it had events in Pownal have overtaken the planning process, I put lack of updated town plans in the Pownal have overtaken the planning process.
Okay, yeah, hang on, this is where I wanna, take your time, because not everybody can see what you're,
Okay.
so
I-
just take your time in the parts
and I
here.
guess my
Okay, and the
question,
reason why I'm saying events
Okay.
is, what's the events?
well, I think
You're sending this to someone
who
to,
doesn't know that we had things like filling your position, other things that came on our table, is what
right.
you're saying.
That's exactly what I think
That's
Sid
Sid was saying.
was
Yeah.
saying,
Yeah.
that
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 it
events.
was events that
We
took
could
over
change
our
that,
agendas.
other events that became important to the planning commission prohibited us
Or
from doing
priority
this.
to the,
Right,
whichever
You know,
way.
other priorities that
right.
came before the planning
Commission,
commission, yeah.
yeah.
Right,
I just,
but.
But it's not lack of
it wasn't
updated
the
town
lack of
plans in
updated-
Pownal that have
yeah.
Right, because we
overtaken the
actually
planning
have an
process.
updated town plan, so that we have a town plan that's in action. We don't love it, but we
Yeah.
have one.
Right.
Okay,
so what you're
So
looking
it-
so
for
now
is,
we're gonna
Is
take
it
out
was,
lack of updated
Okay,
template?
well, yeah, we'll get to it. Let's let him
Okay.
finish because,
Right,
you know,
right.
I've got the copies of it. He's
Yeah.
making some good
Well-
points here, but I think he's,
that
all due
one,
respect, missed the mark on that one. But maybe we can be a little more specific as to changes in subdivision regs and
Well, I'll do Mylar.
some other things, Julie. if that-
Sure.
Yeah.
Floodplains
Check it.
situations, so.
yeah.
All of it.
Gee,
yeah,
Okay. And then,
that's just my scrap.
the next
I need more
paragraph,
paper.
Yeah.
Okay.
I changed where it went, at the end of Vermont between Massachusetts and New York, that takes planning, I put in New York, by updating the town plan to reflect the importance of the area and possible roads that will complement this approach, which takes the planning. I added a few more words
I
to
think
show the
that's good. I
importance.
think that it expands upon that thought.
right,
That-
You bet.
yeah,
You-
I agree.
I want the people that are getting this to understand why.
right.
Okay, and the next one,
Let me just,
We are gonna need a special meeting. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why,
Okay.
because I really want Natalie's input on this as well. If we don't have it tonight, I don't wanna vote on something and have her tell us later
is something
that we missed something,
Right,
right?
yeah,
I
So
agree.
we'll
Okay.
talk about a special meeting.
That's fine.
okay,
because I think this is a big paragraph, or it's full of a lot of importance, the one you just edited. Do we need to expand upon why we think that this idea is important, the gateway? Yes, it takes planning. Why is it, we are geographically the gateway. We know that if we look at a map. Why is it important to us? Why is it important to our application? Do we need to state that here
I think so.
with another sentence, perhaps?
I like where you're going, maybe another sentence, but
Right.
not a big,
Not a big to-do.
but
No,
something that
but-
lets them know how important we think it is.
Right.
And that we need help from a firm to help us
It's not just
crystallize
it's not
that.
just a geographic
thought.
statement of
Right.
fact. It,
Yeah.
it has more meaning than that.
right.
Right. Okay.
And I don't think it's clear here that it has, I mean,
Right. Okay. So let's
Right,
we'll,
this is
we'll
good.
expand.
we read this with the past conversations in mind. and
Yes,
That's
this-
right.
That's
They
correct.
have not had those
They don't have
conversations.
that. Right.
Okay.
Okay, you wanna continue?
Okay,
Yeah, he's got some more.
All right, substantial capital bonding assistance has been provided to the town in the past to install municipal sewers and sewer treatment plants, but the town has been unable, even with the major cleanup of the environment around the school and preventing many impact points of direct pollution of streams and waterways of the town, gain the economic growth that was expected due to improved infrastructure. Our belief is that it did not occur due to downturn in the country on almost all economic fronts at that time.
Right.
Okay, and that took the place of not capitalizing on this new infrastructure to the fullest degree, even in a very great degree. It's more of what we did and then it didn't happen. And the next paragraph was, in order to realize the benefits of the new infrastructure, an updated town plan is required to establish the direction of future development that will enhance the overall town economic and quality of life needs. And then the last, well, not next to last paragraph. Town of Pownal has a lot of ground to cover to catch up with, and I added recent state and federal changes that can and will affect future planning goals. And of course, all ask they have taken place. Through working with consultants and citizens of the town the planning board can plan for its future in a rational and appropriate manner. And then at the last line, I wrote, as in the past, the town looks forward to working with the state and consultants on meeting mutually agreeable goals for our small community.
Good, good way to end it.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, I think there's some good stuff there. I think
Yeah.
we, if I may make a suggestion.
yep,
I think we all need to take a copy of Nelson's. If you, on your computers, go through, so you don't have to figure out, read one, the other. His is typed in blue. You'll see it even if you just pull it up on the screen. Put Nelson's next to it. I think he's got some good points, but I think we can add some to the importance of our location, and I think we need a special meeting to come back together to get him approval of an actual letter, get it to him before the 30th, and also let Natalie know the results of what we're working on, when the special meeting is, and that we need her input by that time,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah, I've copied Natalie on all this when I've copied it to the board, and that's why I know she has sent something back that she was gonna look at things,
Okay.
so.
Yeah,
I'm
she
waiting.
mentioned it, yeah.
So I'm waiting.
Should we, at this point, be a little somewhat specific with Natalie that we think paragraph 3 and 4
Sure.
and you need some expansion, and this is what we're working on, and by such and such a date we will have this to you, and maybe she will agree with that or say, oh, that's not necessary, whatever she would have to say, or not answer at all. But just to give her a heads up as to what we're doing.
So, good point. When we let Natalie know about the special meeting, tell her that one thing that we're looking to change or add to is the importance of this location, that it's not just a geographical importance.
That we're going to explain briefly why we find our location to be intrinsic to our need for a grant.
And good point, Rick. And by the way, I mean, she could come back and have the thing basically rewritten, but we don't have to adopt that. We can adopt what we want and send it anyway. So,
And then the paragraph
just
before
as long
that,
as
we
she
have
knows it,
questions
though.
on.
Right.
I have a question mark next to this. So the paragraph prior to that, so lack of updated town plans have overtaken the planning process. So I think we're just talking about wording here. What do we want to see? Do you want to just sketch it out right now so we don't all come, we don't come with 5 different versions
Okay.
of what that can should look like, what we don't like about it, what can fix it?
sure, that's fine. And as I said before, that I don't believe that this is a lack of updated town plans in Pownal have overtaken the planning process, that there were other priorities. Do we have to be specific, such as changes in subdivision regs and other bylaws that we, and you mentioned a couple that we needed to address first, and then say that that overtook the planning process, and the town must receive and thoughtfully utilize a municipal plan grant to hire competent professional assistance in updating the town plan. Am I going the right way here? Because he writes, I see what you wrote.
You wrote events.
Updating the town plan. Sid says updating the town plan is now critical for Pownal because not having a new town plan leaves the town flat-footed in responding to rapidly changing circumstances. We get it, economic and otherwise. And then he says events in Pownal have overtaken.
Is that specific enough? Do we need to be more specific than that?
Have overtaken. Well, I don't know. I mean, he's applied for these grants before,
Right.
so I
I'm
defer to his expertise
I'm
in this.
referring to the fact, and maybe I've got it wrong, because I didn't look at it as events the way you just said.
Right, that's what I was getting at.
Lack of updated town plans in Pownal have overtaken the planning process. It is,
I think
it's
that's
really the lack of us updating them,
Yeah.
not the lack of updated town plans, based on
Right.
it being events. So what I would say is other priorities within the town over the last year or so, gathering information from citizens. We had questionnaires out that took a long time to process. The ZA process of appointing. There's a ton of things that took up your time. So I think events is the right word. The real question comes down to
do we have to
May-
describe some events? And to what degree, since you've applied for these grants before, are we appealing to their better judgment? Are they thinking, why haven't you done this? Do you have a good excuse as to why you haven't done this
That's-
before? Or are they not even concerned about that?
This
You're doing it now and that's good enough. I mean,
I might be
what's your
wrong.
take on that?
I might be wrong on this, the way
Well,
that it's worded.
Nelson, the first thing was gonna be short and sweet, right? I mean, it had to be, but you discussed some things about the rescue squad, the fire department. These are events that are going on, with lack of volunteers and stuff like this. Some of these things are critical.
Now that I'm looking at this, he read it one way, I read it another way, and now I'm not sure I'm right. If I just let me read Sid's again here, if you have it in front of you. Events in Pownal have, underline have, not had overtaken,
They
have
have
overtaken
the planning
the
process.
planning process. What exact, because now he's like back up here where he describes, but at the end of that period, we were forced to recommend the town legislative body the 2006 readopted plan. Are we giving a reason down here in the fourth paragraph as to why we couldn't finish it before? Is that what it means by events overtook?
Okay, we had the zoning administrator, we had the survey go out, examine that.
But
wait
am I
for it to
right
come
even
back.
thinking that's what Sid's talking about here?
I think yes. But it
Because that's
says
not the
events.
way, that's not the way he read it. And events in Pownal have overtaken the planning process, meaning has,
It put it on.
has
it-
something else in Sid's mind crept in there that we better have a town plan in place right away with the help of a consultant, and we need this grant to rectify
I think the only
this?
thing that's in his
30%.
mind about needing a consultant is that it'll get it done, and we don't know what we're doing. As to the excuse
We're on
as to
camera.
why, well, we
No.
need
It's
we need
complex
assistance.
and we need
It's complex,
assistance,
and we
yeah.
need professional assistance.
We missed the last trip, okay, for the
Right,
grant.
right.
Yeah.
So
As-
30th of
Right.
September, where the clock's ticking.
As to why
So then the
we
way-
didn't get to it,
Right.
is an explanation necessary or needed? Do they care?
Well, it might.
Okay, well, that's
Well, if,
Not in
another way of
depth.
wording it, events needing the board's attention.
immediate attention.
The commission's
what-
attention.
yeah,
Have
immediate attention.
sidetracked us from
Events
focusing
that-
on.
You know,
Period.
if that's what you want to use, but
maybe.
just add a little something that says events that needed, so that they know
They-
you're doing
they-
some events.
Yeah. that
Needing
needed
planning board,
immediate
immediate attention.
Okay.
Had overtaken the
Yeah.
planning process.
I just want to make sure
Delayed
that's
the-
what Sid's
yeah.
talking about. there.
Something in there, if
Okay.
that's what he's talking about, then that's what I would say.
Yeah, yeah.
I just took it a different.
Events, you lost a key person.
Yeah,
Sure.
Well, you had a ton of stuff going
Right.
on.
Yeah.
You know what we're
It's not that you
talking
were
about.
sitting here on your hands doing nothing.
Well, it took 2
Right.
years to redo the subdivision regs, put it all into one booklet with new bylaws, and the subdivision regs affected bylaws, then new bylaws affected subdivision regs,
and I don't
we had to
think
make
we
'em all
need
right.
to give
All
all
of them.
that.
No, no,
Because this is just saying we, justifying that we need some help.
have overtaken.
Events
Right.
works
I
well.
I would go back to again saying that the immediate needs overtook us,
Right,
so
Okay.
we couldn't focus
demanded
on
a
the
lot
town
of
plan.
attention from
And
the,
then if they want more, they'll ask for more.
right, uh-huh,
So we are doing our job as commissioners because we dealt with the immediate needs.
That's what I'm trying to stress. Show that you're doing
yeah.
Right.
something.
Right.
Okay, so let's
Okay.
put that in. Instead of events and lack, immediate needs in Pownal have overtaken the planning process. But and go on. Is that?
We
I
would
think
be,
that's sufficient.
I think it's great. I think we would be looking for a grant anyways, even if we hadn't had those events overshadow
Correct.
the importance of this.
What did you
But
decide?
we wouldn't be
'Cause I
doing it at
was
the last minute
Yep.
here.
Sidetracked.
All right.
Okay.
That last second
Where-
sentence in that paragraph that we were talking about. That's
The
the
events
paragraph
is
that
last.
starts
The
with
fourth
updating.
the
Yep.
fourth paragraph.
Okay.
Okay, so we're just going to go to immediate needs in Pownal have overtaken the planning process, etc.
Immediate needs that came before the planning commission,
Right.
That how about immediate needs that were tended
Tended
to,
to
by the planning commission.
Right.
not just the needs. We actually dealt with
Dealt
them,
with them,
so
right.
we tended to them.
Uh-huh.
I like it.
Okay.
Immediate needs that were tended to.
Okay.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So,
Yeah.
so in summary, when you send this, Julie, to Natalie, you're gonna give her a brief, this conversation. You're gonna
Yes.
tell her these specific things that we're focusing on in terms of changing this. And then ask for any input from her,
Yeah.
okay? And if we could get that input before, what we wanna do is next Tuesday.
Boy.
Yeah.
Is the next paragraph the only other one we're changing?
The one that starts off as substantial capital bonding is,
Oh,
That's
that
quite
needs
a-
help too. Okay.
yeah. Oh, you have Sid's changes in there, right?
Yes.
It's helpful if you put them
That's
side
the
by
word.
side, I
So,
think.
yeah.
Oh, really? I don't have Sid's
They're
original.
Sid's.
Louise
Oh, Sid's
comprehensive
original are
sewer.
crossed out on the one that you have from me,
Yeah,
so that
so
they're.
Yeah.
it's all
No, I
there.
see everything there.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're
everything is
okay.
Yeah, I
different.
see everything
So
there, yeah.
I
Oh,
think
okay.
so.
That's why I said, you got me.
All right, so we're okay with deferring any more discussion until we've hashed out a couple of things that
So
we
that was
think.
paragraph 4 that we edited.
changes.
Number 5 needs editing, a little expansion, and number 6 we feel needs help. Is it
Right.
Substantial capital bonding assistance.
Yeah,
What is,
What
what
are
was
our
the
thoughts?
comments on
Yeah,
that?
what are our thoughts about that? Where does that need help? I mean, we're all here now. This is we're being productive. So.
I mean,
Tom has
the,
been,
the gist of it, I think, is
Can I
that
just ask one?
Go ahead.
Are we on number 5 or number 6?
we're on substantial capital bonding.
Number 6.
Mhm.
Okay.
Thank you. Just so I know where I am.
Nelson,
It-
you want
it
to,
may be-
Basically, what that's
Expound
telling
upon
you,
that.
because it was brought up that the capital bonding assistant was in this,
a long
thing.
sentence.
In the grant.
what,
It is.
in the-
We should break
basically
it
it was
up,
here
I
in the
think.
grant thing,
Uh-huh.
okay? Basically, I felt that if we're gonna talk about it, we should say what we did positive and how we accomplished some things with that and what we'd like to see go forward based on that. And we would do that in our town plan. That's why you see the wording that I put in there. Now, it could be worded different, but the bottom line is if we're gonna talk about a capital bonding that we already had and how we spent it and what we
As
did
a-
with
yeah.
it needs to be put in a positive way versus, what I saw was not capitalize on this new infrastructure to the fullest degree or even in a very great degree. That to me
And,
doesn't say that
Right.
you're trying to do any, you know what I mean?
right, it sounds like a lack of effort, not to capitalize on it means for some reason we fell short in doing it, and what you're saying is
It's-
other factors
We,
impacted.
we didn't fall short with what that bond was for.
Right,
That's,
it's
That's-
what we hoped would flow from it that has not happened.
that's the difference.
You know, is the objective here with this paragraph to show, to acknowledge that we've received funds before, number one, and number
And-
two,
And that we've executed the use of those well.
and we executed, in number two, we executed the use of those well. So we are showing you that we are responsible when
And
we get the
capable.
money and
Right.
capable. So we need to do that. We need to actually, earn our stripes with that. Okay, that's a question,
180-degree difference than what Sid is stating.
kind of, yeah.
So,
So I understand the need for this.
so in essence, you would disagree with Sid's statement that the town is not capitalizing this new infrastructure to the fullest degree or even to a very great degree.
I think that we have capitalized on cleaning up the environment to the fullest degree, okay? And I'd be very clear on that, because of the school and the rest of the things we've done with
Okay.
that
Right.
money.
Are you saying that here?
Yes, that's what
Yes,
he's saying.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying,
Yes.
Remember
okay?
the school?
And what I'm saying is, now if you give us more money
Uh-huh.
for something else, we'll capitalize on our town plan and move forward with the economic and the
Right.
quality of life growth that we
Like-
need in our town.
Right.
I think Sid's purpose here, certainly it was not to put the town down, but to show that we need additional funds to properly utilize the money we've already gotten, and that makes it more emphatic and insistent upon the government, the application process to give us the grant, because we've had X amount, and to fully utilize it, we're gonna need the additional funds. I think that was his thinking.
I think that was
Yeah.
his thinking
Right.
too.
But
And what I'm
maybe
saying
it's
is,
not coming out the way
Right.
it should.
what I'm saying is you're talking about two different grants.
Mhm.
And he's trying to bundle them into one,
Uh-huh,
but it's not
sure.
one. You should
Okay.
talk about one in a positive way of what you did and how it occurred, and then you're
Right.
gonna talk about what you're gonna do with the next one.
Right.
Because this
Yeah.
isn't asking for a second extension
It's-
of the, what we
right.
did for the bond for the
Right, it's
sewer.
confusing
Yeah.
like that, yeah.
Extension of what
If we were
did.
asking to extend our sewer plant to another area of town for economic
Good
growth,
point.
then you
Uh-huh.
would make it
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
that. But we're not asking for that.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so we need to break up the sentence a little then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
And
says all the right things, it just kind of runs together.
Yeah, I was just making points in it.
Right,
No,
right.
no, yeah.
Right, right.
And I think that kind of reworking is what we can do
Noted for that.
between now and the next
Yeah, and
meeting.
maybe we don't need to
Right.
do that here,
Right.
so we're gonna just, we're gonna,
But- Sort of, I focus on that idea of separating the two and sort of saying that one of them one of them demonstrates our ability to.
Absolutely.
And effectiveness to use.
Right, and the other one indicates the need to take it the next step in terms
Correct.
of what the town needs.
Well, let's start with that last.
Well, let me ask the question.
Sure.
When you say take the next step, and this is why I saw them as separate things, your next step might be that you want to see things like the Bailey approach
Right.
for a scenic
Yeah.
view, which has nothing to
Thing
do
to
with
do
the
with-
sewer. Because the sewer
Right.
goes nowhere near where you're talking
Right,
about
yeah,
to
right,
try and
okay.
improve the.
So maybe keep them completely
They're,
disconnected.
they're disconnected, and,
Okay.
and you should make it clear that your planning process, you're gonna take the funds, and this is what you're looking to do with it. Because it really, yes, I would hope that some economic development will come out of it, and it might hook up to the water systems and
Right,
sewer systems
yeah.
we have in our communities.
Yeah,
I'd love that.
But let's not confuse the
Is the tip,
topics.
yeah.
The topic is we're writing a town plan,
Plan,
and we
right.
wanna,
So we're talking about the sewer system just to say, hey, aren't we great?
Great.
We're responsible. Number one, we've been there before. Number
Right.
one, closed,
Right.
new
Took their
topic.
money,
Yeah.
come in on budget.
Right.
Yeah.
And accomplish blah, blah,
New
blah.
topic, we need money for other things. We've dealt with it responsibly before, so I think they are separate. But would you say it's important to mention that we in fact got the grant and we were good with it?
yeah, and it
It's
might
a-
not need to be as wordy as this is.
Right, okay.
Again, I was trying to make,
You were thinking out loud.
yeah,
yeah, I mean, some people view things in different ways. It's like how I took events. The real thing is that we need to show that we are conducive to taking grants. I can go back and say we've taken grants for to write town plans, bylaws, and many other things from this same organization, and we can show that we've done that, and those things have been in place for years. The thing is, we need to update those, and we showed we spent that money positively last time because we ended up with town plans and bylaws, and if you give it to us again, we will end up with updated ones. Just how far back you wanna go with how many grants we've had.
and my sense is you don't need to iterate the number, you just need to reference the fact that.
And they might
in the
iterate
past
enough
we've-
numbers that they're saying you've already had enough.
Right, yeah,
A lot of people
don't
would
want
think
that,
so,
yeah.
yes. Yeah.
any other comments on this before we set a special meeting in order to finalize it?
Well, I would just say what Rick said, either now we can, while we're here, kind of chop this up a little bit with the
Maybe we can just
same
do it.
intention.
If people think on the fly like that, that's fine, I mean.
Okay, so we're all here to.
Okay.
But there's more to go through too, so if you know,
Is there another paragraph we need to? Let's just see what.
the
what
next two, actually the next one,
You're talking about number 7.
I guess, I don't
Yeah.
have one, I don't know. The town of Pownal, it starts off, has a lot of
Yes,
ground to
number
cover.
7.
And then we have to end it in some way, and Nelson has a recommendation there as well.
Rosemary.
So 2 choices. We have the people here to do this tonight, or we can all take this and,
But you know what? Okay.
but we might as well do it now.
Yeah.
right?
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
But
At
if
least-
that,
at
that
least
works
I-
for everybody.
At least whatever you do now, you can send to Natalie as the board's thoughts and ideas, and then when Natalie looks at it, she
Right.
has comments, she has
Right.
comments.
And then
And if you wait another week and then another.
Yeah, we are
I
so
can't.
Yeah,
close.
okay,
next Tuesday,
Okay.
the 2 Tuesdays is the 30th. We gotta have to have it to you by then,
Yeah.
well before then.
Yeah.
So,
We're almost there.
okay,
I mean,
Let's keep
we're
going.
you know,
and
Okay,
then
so-
we're gonna finalize it until that night anyway, so let's edit it.
fine.
So let's take a crack at that. The town
So
has
we're
been
going-
unable, even with the major cleanup of the environment around the school and preventing many impact points of direct pollution to streams and waterways. I'm not even sure I understand it all, let
Right,
alone
right,
how
right.
it
it's
runs together.
definitely a run-on sentence.
As I thought of what we
we're back on
cleaned
number
up.
6.
Okay, I
Yeah.
think after sewage treatment plant, there's a comma, there should be a period.
We cleaned up a lot.
Okay, does everybody approve of that?
Yes,
Hot spots.
Yeah,
It's gonna end with sewage treatment plant, period. Now, new thought.
okay.
You took the money
Okay.
and used it well.
yeah,
Okay, how about we take the last change, which is our belief is it did not occur due to the downturn in the country on almost all economic fronts at the time. Let's lead with that, such as we think, or we believe that because of the economy, both federally and locally, that these things didn't happen.
That what didn't happen?
Everything else that he's gotten here.
Well, we're
that we've
talking about
been unable-
we're talking about pollution.
We've been unable, even with the major cleanup of the environment around the school and preventing many impact points of direct pollution to streams and waterways of the town, to gain
Oh, okay,
economic
okay,
growth.
Okay.
So
Okay.
because of the downturn,
Because of the downturn in the economy, it is our belief that
we have been unable,
Mm-hmm.
where do you say, we have been unable to gain the economic growth that was expected due to the first line.
okay, good, yeah, okay,
Okay.
so. Who,
So due to a
who's
downturn in
writing?
the
Okay.
federal,
Somebody
I've been writing all over
Okay.
No, okay, no.
That's
Let's
okay.
let's get our,
You're right.
okay.
one at a time.
chicken scratch.
Due to the downturn,
We're gonna use the first sentence, substantial
Yeah.
capital bonding assistance.
Yeah, that's good.
Has been provided to the town in the past to install municipal sewers and a
Correct.
sewer treatment plant, period.
Correct.
It is our belief
It is our belief
PC belief.
that due to
due
To any other communities?
to downturn
downturn in the economy.
in the economy, it impacted many communities.
well,
Nationally, how about just nationally?
I
Yeah,
think
well,
you should just say
nationally
the
and
down-
Nationally and locally.
Yeah.
Nationally and locally.
All right, that, and where's that, streams, waterways of the town?
We did not
Preventing.
realize the we did not,
Just say has
we,
not
re-
yet.
has not yet, we have not yet realized the economic advantages
We
to
have not
the
yet.
growth.
Well, here's
Anticipate.
here's what Nelson says. We haven't been able to gain the economic growth that was expected.
Right,
Excellent.
okay.
Beautiful. Because we've talked about improved infrastructure. That's the reason for the capital bonding assistance and everything. So we don't have to basically say it again. Then,
So, the growth expected, even though, do we want to say even though?
yeah, I was going to
major
say
thing-
then
Or-
you might
or
put another
period.
period,
Okay.
and then just say that
Although,
instead of,
although this and that and the streams were cleaned up, we were not able to find it as an opportunity or something.
I
Okay.
don't even know that we need to specify I think that gets in
is
the way.
unable, right? Let me just ask
Okay.
Thomas Jefferson here. Then unable, even with the major cleanup of the environment around the. So you're saying unable to gain the economic growth is what? How,
Right.
Yes.
right. So what we want to point out is that that we had major cleanup of the environment around the school and correct. So how do we? So from here.
But kind of one thing has nothing to do with the other.
Right.
Yeah, this is the positive part, right? So even though, yeah, okay. That's where you're losing me, right on that
Yeah,
cleanup and.
The cleanup
Well, I
had to
thought-
do with what? Had to do with the
Building the
the
river?
capital bonding assistance.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so that was in addition to installing municipal sewers, it did X, Y, and Z. Period.
It was
But
two
the
different-
fact that our town did not have economic advancement due to the downturn in the economy has nothing to do with the fact, even though there was no pollution in the streams.
Right.
One thing has
Well,
nothing to do with it. We don't come running there because you have unpolluted streams. Anyway, even in a good economy, that's not enough to bring us there.
Is he on to something here?
Does that make sense?
With the major-
Businesses that were here were the ones that were dumping the stuff into the streams, and they were closed down because of it.
Okay.
So the only way to bring them back, like Mac Bowling and
Is
others,
to clean up streams.
is
Here
to
from
clean up,
Massachusetts.
uh-huh.
not only.
So we did that.
So,
Basically,
We did
right
that.
on the street.
Right.
You're
Well,
citing
just
what we
bring
did.
it down.
excuse me for a moment, Bill.
The financial point is that for companies or businesses to get low-cost lending, banks lend to properties that have wastewater infrastructure and even more drinking infrastructure.
There you go.
That's the real point, because anybody who wants to do economic development is gonna need to go into the markets for money.
So
Lend
that's the connection then.
that And by having your infrastructure that parallels the Vermont desire to build up clustered, village centers with force mains in between, the planning was to locate businesses and give them that advantage in capital markets. As the same time, there was the requirement by the EPA to get rid of those pollution points as the most pollution points of any town in the state of Vermont, including the school and the mobile home parks. So you were taking, that effort, but translating it into the potential for economic growth. Then the recession happens. Now it's time to pick up the pace.
Okay, so that's a great point, because then that's the connection we were
We
missing.
were talking about
It's the positive.
Yeah.
brewery, opening a brewery, all of Vermont's opening breweries. So now you have the sewer, you have the water, the wastewater, excuse me.
Your planning may as well say that we want to work towards drinking water that parallels this in places where it does not exist. You may want to plant that seed or not, but that's down the road.
Yeah.
But that will give people the best chance at borrowing money from places like
You're not
Vita
kidding.
and all of the other low-cost lenders, including banks.
I agree.
Just so the planning board's up to speed, when we first did the study, we did the study for distributing water through the 3 communities, and then we did the study for distributing of the wastewater. And the reason we went with wastewater was because of the major needs to clean up the things we had. Otherwise, it would have been water.
Okay.
So water still is on the plan,
Well,
just not at this.
yeah, it's
We got the assistance, we did what we intended to do, but we have not reaped the benefits fully of it.
that's the key, I think, is
Yeah, we cleaned up
the
points of
town-
pollution and everything else. We did
The
all.
town benefited from what we did with the bond. Now to grow on that, we need to do the next step, which is an economic plan
Right.
that says how we utilize the infrastructure that's now in place.
Well, in SIDS, back to SIDS, it says, in order to realize the benefits of the new infrastructure, an updated town plan is required to establish the direction of future development that will enhance the overall town economic and quality of life needs.
And if you
That's
notice-
your addition. I like all of that to end that. So could you, just what we had agreed upon before we got mired in
I
the
think Rick has.
major
Rick has
cleanup?
it.
Oh, I don't know that I have it, I'm
you got
trying to
the-
put a
You,
thought to
Rick,
what
you
Bill.
got it.
Okay.
You
go
got it,
ahead.
Rick.
We'll give you a moment
At
to
least
finish
the
your thought.
first paragraph he's got, and then he
Yeah.
started writing.
Okay.
Well,
This-
not the first paragraph. In
Go
the,
ahead,
Give
we'll
him a
give you,
moment.
we'll give you a moment to do this, because.
You are so kind.
I can't imagine,
You
that's,
really,
that's
you
why
have my heart.
I can't write on the fly like
In
this.
the meantime, I am available next Tuesday,
Okay,
which is 1 week from the deadline,
Uh-huh.
to get everybody together. If you would like to set the parameters for a special meeting to finalize this letter.
16th?
Yeah, today's the 16th.
and it doesn't have to be on a Tuesday, I mean, we could, it depends what works with this group, although we need we need 5 days' notice?
special needs 3.
24 hours special
Oh,
meeting.
24.
Yeah, I recommended that because that's the first day I'd be able to make it.
Oh, okay.
But by the time I warn it.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there anything the following Monday?
What is the department that, we cleaned up certain things, and what is the department that would realize, the opportunity to turn business over to us because
You're not free
the
Monday?
pollution
Are you
and the
Tuesday?
environment is in order?
I think it's more general than that, is
Yeah,
that
okay.
if you go to the
Throw
bank,
me in anytime.
or you go to a low-cost lender,
So
any
hopefully
and
I'm
all of them, is that if you have that,
That's what happened last
it's
Tuesday.
much more favorable because you've lowered risk for the lender.
Okay, good.
They won't have unanticipated costs, like the well goes away or the septic fails.
But in a letter,
So I think basically, people will understand it in the letters that it will help people with access to capital, is pretty much the idea.
right. I don't think we have to go into detail about the banks and their lending.
No.
No,
Philosophies
just
and
get the
things.
concept across.
I think I'd rather not.
Yeah.
It's just to build on what we now have, is what you're looking
You
at.
know,
And that goes more than just
yeah.
the economic side of building on the infrastructure, it's building on what we have when you talk about the views we have and
Yeah.
the other,
Okay.
you wanna build on what we have.
Okay.
You wanna read?
It's on a roll.
I think I'm gonna be able to read this myself. Okay, okay, so we start with substantial capital bonding to provide in time to install municipal sewers and sewage treatment plant. Although we've been successful in realizing a major cleanup of the environment and prevented many impact points of direct pollution to streams and waterways, this incentive for potential investment in our community has not come to fruition. We're going to go in, and it's not come to fruition because of the generalized downturn in the economy.
Sounds good,
Beautiful.
sounds good.
All right, and then you're gonna keep the last paragraph in order to,
Yeah.
Potential
to realize the benefits of the new,
incentive and,
whatever's right there.
due to the broad-based economic downturn.
Don't you also reference elsewhere that during this period of time, many of these state's programs have moved on and you want to bring your plan
Yes.
into alignment so you can take advantage of that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the next
probably-
paragraph.
That's the
Not
next
there.
paragraph.
Okay.
It says the town of Pownal has a lot of ground to cover to catch up with,
Okay.
with recent state and federal
Now,
changes.
can I have your paper so I can, I'll copy it.
You're
so-
going to read this?
No.
Oh,
I'm
you're going to copy? Okay, fine. And I will.
I'll give it
I'll
back.
spend some time with you to decipher what I wrote.
Julie, the last, there's a change to the last sentence there as well.
In
where-
order? That, are we
Yeah,
starting
in
with
order to
six?
realize the benefits of a new infrastructure, an updated town plan
And, so it's AN.
Yeah.
is required to establish the direction of future development that will enhance the overall town economic and quality of life needs. It will enhance the overall town economic
Well-being.
and quality of life needs.
Overall
Is
town-
enhanced strong enough? How about is imperative? Is mandatory?
Yeah.
Is it's urgent. Enhanced kind of means sprucing it up, but I think that it's more urgent
Well,
than that.
But it clearly enhances. If you do everything before that,
It does,
if
but
you
I'm
do
just,
everything
throwing
before
that
that,
out as a question.
you so eloquently put
Remember, you're
together.
asking for a grant.
We're just asking for a grant. We're not rewriting the town plan here.
Right.
Okay.
I think it's strong enough because if we do everything before that,
Mm-hmm.
if we get the grant based on everything that we said before that, it clearly enhances quality of life, economic development, and so many other.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're using it like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's-
Oh, okay, yeah.
that's
No, I
the
understand.
content of it,
I understand.
Okay,
All right. So just like in Nelson's version, the last sentence, Jules, okay?
Yeah.
All right. Next paragraph.
Number 7.
The town of Pownal has a lot of ground to cover. I would say in catching up with recent state and federal changes. And Bill, this is to your point.
Right.
That can and will affect future planning goals. Period.
Do we acknowledge that the programs have left and we want to catch up with them here, or
I think that's what it
that's
says.
what, yeah,
We have a lot of ground to cover to catch up.
with
is it-
recent state and federal
We have
changes.
to catch up with them. They've gone. They're on.
okay, recent? Okay, all right, okay.
Instead of through working with consultants, I would say through. I guess through is
Wor-
okay. By working.
Working with consultants.
By
Or
and
working.
citi-
How about just working with consultants
Okay.
and citizens of the town, the
comma,
planning commission.
No, that's why I used the word through. Through working with consultants and citizens of the town, the planning board
I think that's fine.
can plan for its future in a rational, appropriate manner.
Planning board will or can
Yeah, it's.
plan for its future.
It either can say will or can we'll
Okay,
plan
the
for the
town,
future.
I mean, will is better.
with consultants and citizens of the town,
The planning board will.
along with, the planning board will
Plan for its future in a rational, appropriate manner. So basically, working with those people through them.
Well, rational, appropriate, here's where you might say needed. Well, that's okay, let's not get crazy, we're
Right.
applying for a grant. And we're gonna have more input on this on some future date, maybe next Tuesday.
Right, I
We'll have some
imagine
input.
Natalie will.
I'd like to give Sid another crack at this too, when's he back, by the way?
Well, he should definitely get this
22nd,
edit.
23rd, something
Well,
like
I'm
that.
gonna edit tomorrow and then.
Oh,
I'll
that's
just
great, and you can email it, he'll see it.
Yeah, he'll
Yeah.
see it. He'll see it. Then you're gonna pass it along to Natalie too, so.
Yes.
Okay, we didn't deal with number 5.
Hurry.
2, 3, 4, 5.
The town of Pownal hopes to capitalize on its location as a gateway,
Community of Vermont, okay, wait, community of Vermont.
to make it more than geographic.
And town plan to reflect the importance of the area and cost roads that will complement this approach. Which takes the plan.
Well, I like to reflect the importance of the area. Rick, I think that's what you're saying.
But
Yes,
what
he
we're
and-
wants to, you
and-
want to iterate more
Gateway,
clearly.
tri-state of,
Well, he's got that. The town of Pownal hopes to capitalize on its location as a gateway community to Vermont between Massachusetts and New York. Period.
So Nelson says by
Updating the town plan to reflect the importance of the area. Okay, let's be specific why we think this is important though. Importance is general. Okay.
And this completely leaves out the piece that we think it has an impact greater than our own limited community, sort of what you're saying about it.
Right, I was getting into, and maybe between Nelson and Bill being here, I was getting into the Vermont brand.
Right, yes, and that's not reflected in
and
here
to
at all.
exemplify the brand Vermont and how proud we are and the state is, and that we want to exemplify the way the rest of the state looks at the brand from the doorstep, from the get-go. So that's what we mean by the gateway, and that's why we think we're more important than the next community who's applying for the same funds, is because we sit in we have a geographic opportunity that they don't have.
Well, I changed one word, and that was word the area, and I put this area. By updating the town plan to reflect the importance of this area and possible growth that will complement this approach, which takes planning.
I think we
Wanna
should
be
tell them why we think this area is important.
Yeah, it's because we want to impact upon travelers the
We
important
want to
brand,
we
this
want to
Vermont
do,
brand.
is this inappropriate to talk about the marketing of the Vermont brand and what this?
No.
Okay, so I think we have a
No,
perfect
it's part of
opportunity.
every town in Vermont.
Well,
Right.
it's particularly
Any
important
place
right
you
here.
go.
And as soon as you cross the state line, you should be hit by that in a favorable way.
So let's use the word brand in there. It's important to impact upon travelers to Vermont, our all-important brand, our way of life.
The quote
our-
Vermont brand, I think we can write that because it's used so much in publications. We can use it.
Vermont brand, okay?
Yeah, people understand it,
Yeah.
you know what it is.
In the
It's often
trailer.
cited as an economic advantage.
In fact, companies who are not in Vermont will put Vermont made on something because they're capitalizing on it. And it's made in Pennsylvania.
And then
You
the
know?
Attorney General will go after them.
Right, right.
Like it.
as,
And collect
Change
money.
your hours. And then it says, approach which
Hopes,
is the gateway to Vermont. It basically says our area is it.
what about the town of Pownal hopes to capitalize on its location as a southern gateway to Vermont, and not even
Yeah,
talk
good
about
too.
between in Massachusetts and New York?
That's fine.
As the most pivotal and important gateway.
Well, it's this US
We-
7 with thousands of cars that lots of other
maintain.
gateways don't have.
Right,
Hmm.
uh-huh,
You know,
It's
like,
crucial.
Coveted.
North Stanford doesn't have that, and Jacksonville
Vermont
doesn't have
brand.
that. I mean, it's a lot of traffic.
And
Yeah,
46
through
to New York.
the
Charlotte,
Oh.
and, that's
Or
all.
7 North, you know. Oh, yeah.
And they come through this
We-
town versus go up 91
Town
to
of
the
Pownal.
state.
east coast.
we
50, 60
we
cars
we
getting
want
back
to
on
work
the way to the
with
post office.
consultants with statewide experience to maximize,
Our location
to use our location
as a critical gateway. Critical gateway?
as a,
She did say an economic engine for the town of Vermont. Something like
Okay, I
that.
started
Well,
the
one
sentence
gateway
by,
in there,
by
I think.
maintaining the coveted Vermont brand as the public enters the state is of paramount importance as it conveys economic
Like it.
and aesthetic
Values.
values
Go ahead.
That's it.
Good.
Economic value.
Okay.
Economic and aesthetic value. What more is there?
Well, it looked like you had something to say there,
So-
Bill.
Yeah, right.
So does that really say it? Does that really say what you
I'm
had
not-
on your
I'm not
mind?
sure
How-
yet. Maintaining the coveted Vermont brand. So we're by starting with maintaining, we're saying it exists. We haven't done our job to help that, but we're asking you to help us with that. But by maintaining, how about through the acceptance of this application, through the, okay, whatever.
By furthering the Vermont brand rather than just maintaining it, by fostering the Vermont brand.
Or
Okay.
capitalizing.
Instead of just maintaining.
Capitalizing. on the Vermont
Capitalizing
brand.
on
Capitalizing on the, okay, capitalizing
brand.
on the coveted Vermont brand as the public enters the state is of paramount importance as it conveys economic and aesthetic values to all who enter.
How does it convey economic values? Our shops are what we have.
Because in the
Gift shop.
Vermont brand itself
Okay.
has an
I'm with you.
economic significance.
Okay.
And so we hope
like it.
that Pownal gets some of that carryover.
I like it.
Does that make sense? Am I reading into it? I want it to be obvious and not.
Well, as a byproduct, right? I mean, this is a win-win. It's a win for the state. It's a win for Pownal. If they agree, give us this grant, recognize the
Right.
vast importance of this location and
Correct.
fostering this brand.
Right, and we're assuming that the application people understand what Vermont brand means.
right.
And I think we should,
Yeah,
and we
I don't
should,
think
we
have
should
to worry
assume
about
that they do.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
we should.
Yeah,
Yes.
right, I mean, this is what
I'm
they
not
talk
sure
about.
they will
Beautiful, by the
understand
way.
what we do to foster it.
That
That's
What
comes
we do to
next.
not
foster
doing
it
it,
is
is
we
we
hire
wanna-
consultants
Right.
to
That's-
begin
that's- yeah.
fostering
You
this.
see our intention,
Uh-huh.
you know, it hasn't looked pretty, we want it to look better, that's our intention, and we're stating as such. That's all we can do.
So is this replacing this
In other words, we're
paragraph?
not
This is,
fostering
this is.
right now.
this
What's
is
the whole
what-
paragraph now?
All right, what's the whole
Well,
paragraph?
one, right?
Well, we're getting there.
It's the fifth one. What's it read like now?
Okay, so the town of Pownal hopes to capitalize on its location as, maybe you can't use capitalize twice, so the town of Pownal hopes to capitalize on its location as a gateway community to Vermont, period. We don't need to talk geography, we understand. Okay, as location as, how about being so bold as saying as a primary gateway?
Yeah, I was just going to
Okay.
say, well, there are other
Okay.
gateways like
As-
Stanford.
as
Stanford
the-
doesn't have the.
No-
traffic.
as
nothing against
the-
Stanford. A lot of friends there.
And they can tell us if we're wrong, but let them tell us. As the primary community gateway to Vermont.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
take out
forget
community.
get
Yeah.
community out of there.
Or
As
at
the-
least one of them,
Say
one of the primary.
Well, we're
If
gonna
we say the primary, let them
Yeah,
tell
let
us,
them
well,
figure
you
it
guys are
out. Let
wrong.
them-
You know, I mean, I think that's
Okay.
part of
If
marketing.
you
It's
just
okay.
leave a
That's all right.
primary. a
No,
primary-
know,
no, let's
what's
be a little more
What's the other one,
direct.
Rouse's Point?
Well, if you're gonna go to the
Wait,
airport.
that's in New York.
I think you're fine.
We-
I think you're fine.
Yeah, on its location, the primary gateway to Vermont. We're proud, that's why we're saying the
If you want to be
primary.
more specific,
Okay.
do the southern Vermont. You can't get any further southern than we are.
Right. And most people come from the south and not from the north,
I agree.
okay?
I agree. That's,
Back to the old
All the
man,
metropolises are to the south. So,
That's
okay. So the next paragraph I had, and I don't know if we're happy with these words, maintaining the coveted quote, Vermont brand as the public enters the state is of paramount importance
I like it.
as it conveys economic and as it conveys the desired economic and aesthetic values.
To our community.
Sure, I mean.
Jim?
I mean, this is,
You all right?
this is the kind of thing is everybody's gonna have their own particular style with, I don't think you said anything that is
Two over the top? What
Is
do you
it,
think?
yeah,
What's-
that's
Well,
why,
it is
is it
already
too over
no.
the top?
Here's my problem.
Go ahead.
You've got a gravel bit. You've got an old racetrack that's there, but the solar panels help it a little bit, better than the old barn area.
It's a start, man.
Oh, I understand, no, I'm on your side.
I know you're on my side.
Remember, what we're saying here is what we want it to be in the future.
That's right.
Absolutely, that's why, I
Part of
think
the
they know it.
vision.
I
We're
think
gonna have a
when-
satellite
when-
hospital shortly,
Well,
hopefully,
let's
you know?
hope
You
that's
know?
all in there, there's a lot of things
We
going on.
need a grant, because we can't do this without a consultant to address just those very
I
things.
think these people know Pownal. I think they know that we got a lot of wastewater treatment money. I think they know that we got some things down here. A lot of people dislike us up there in Montpelier. Some people thought we got a lot of too much at that time.
Complimenting.
You know that.
I know only too well.
I know you do well. So, everything you say is true.
Well,
I'm
then,
exaggerating a little, but I think it's okay.
I vote we go with the truth.
I think it's fine.
Okay, here, how's this? Instead of maintaining the coveted, how about complementing the coveted Vermont brand as the public, Vermont,
Yeah.
quote, brand as the public enters the state is of paramount importance as it conveys the desired economic and aesthetic values that we cherish, or
Yeah.
period.
And all.
I think,
As it
Doesn't matter,
conveys
it's
the
only supposed to be one
desired.
page.
yeah,
Yeah, that's it. There's, it's supposed to be condensed.
Short.
No,
brief.
okay,
It's only
fine.
one word. or
I
two
know
words
that.
Well,
Page-
As
Yeah.
it conveys the desired economic and aesthetic values. Am I hanging?
Oh,
Do I
Sid
need?
will get a hold of it and he'll
No.
start.
Are we hanging by saying that?
I think we all understand it.
They'll
No, I
understand it.
think- I
Okay.
think so.
We all
Okay,
understand, so
fine.
they'll get it.
Okay.
You
So,
need to copy that page too. I'll
Yes.
copy them and give them back.
It'll come down to, do you meet the criteria?
Yeah.
Do they trust you to spend the money well?
Mhm.
So
Right.
whatever you write just basically wants to speak to the criteria
sure.
for the grant.
And if you don't blow your own horn, who is?
So then
Correct.
somebody looking
Yeah.
at it can say,
Uh-huh.
okay, they do that criteria, this criteria, okay, looks good.
You know,
Want
I don't
some-
know how many people have ever driven through Mexico, but I once drove from northern New Hampshire to central Mexico, okay? My last year of college. And my point is, as I took this long drive, and I went through the border towns on the Texas side, and then went through, God knows, Tijuana or something, it was horrible. But as I got further and further south, it got nicer and nicer. But the border town made me want to turn around and go home. And I have that as a point that if it's brought up to a certain level, it'll just be more appealing, and people will say this is the right place. And I'm not saying that's the deal here, but it just brings that to mind.
It gets better.
It
Yeah.
gets
Very,
better,
very quickly.
right? And we want it to be better now,
Right.
Yeah.
I know.
Our vision is to have it
right?
better now.
Well, wherever you go, I mean, appearance is everything. I mean,
No doubt.
Yeah, but he's
I
making
mean,
it. I
it's-
mean, if
Yeah.
you want to, you
Yeah.
say, I'm going.
Oh, I'm getting out of here, really. If the rest of the country's like this, you know, what did I know?
I know.
I'm glad we did that.
Yeah, I'm glad we did
I'm
that.
glad we did
Okay.
that.
Good.
but
And
are we
good
still
input.
gonna, do we still want a special meeting next Tuesday
Do we
for
need
the
it?
final, or do we need it?
We'll email and comments to Julie,
Okay,
meet the
enough,
requirement.
okay.
All right, wait, I mean, I think we need it, don't we? We're gonna need a motion to approve this letter with these
For the grant?
changes. We can do it tonight if you want, if everybody agrees, and we have a quorum that's the one that's gonna go. If we do,
I'd rather have.
Do,
rather what?
I'd want Sid's input too. No offense.
Well, he can
Okay.
comment by
you
email
can
with
comment
us,
by
right?
email.
Yeah.
Or do we have?
We can't discuss an email though. We can't do that in
Okay.
email format. Or
Well,
you can't
let's-
do it in
An email to all of
let's,
us.
set a
quorum.
meeting, and it can maybe end up very short if
Right.
it's
Well,
all
that'd be the
published
only
the
thing
way
on the
we want.
agenda,
Yeah,
right?
it's the only
That's a
thing on the
special
agenda,
meeting.
yeah,
In and out.
'Cause
There you
you
go.
If you have
email
if it's
it.
a special meeting, the topic is the topic.
yeah.
Right,
Nothing
that's
else.
all
Okay.
I.
You don't even have
anyway.
public, it's
No,
the
it's
topic.
Topic,
So
yeah, okay.
And what I recommended before, simply because the first time I can make it is next Tuesday.
Okay.
I can't make a meeting before
Tuesday
then,
at
but-
7?
Tuesday at 7 sounds
Or
familiar to
next
me.
There we
Can
go.
you
Or
do it?
earlier if
You
you
want
want.
Can you
earlier?
do it earlier?
We can do it earlier.
Can you do it at 6
You know what?
o'clock?
You don't think, 6 o'clock is hard for Sid. He likes our
Eh,
6:30.
6 might be hard for me. I
Six
might
is
not
long.
even be off the road yet.
6:30
6:30?
is,
Bingo.
is usually when Sid can make it to the DRB, so to
Okay.
be safe.
6:30
Okay,
safe for him though?
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
not a stretch? Okay.
Yes.
So you wanna make it
So
a
Because it shouldn't be
6:30?
long, it should be a half hour and you're out of
Right.
here.
Yeah.
And it'll only be the draft or the
Final,
final
Mm-hmm.
draft.
it's gonna be the final.
It'll be just
Not a draft.
approval of
Got a lot of
the,
good
Or the
Final.
final.
yeah.
I think so.
It's gonna be the final
Right,
memo to be attached.
whatever on there.
So Tuesday the 23rd,
The
6:30.
final memo to be attached to the grant application.
Right. We're all okay on the other part of this, right, which is the town plan consultant process.
Yeah, that was for the minutes.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
just for the minutes?
Yeah,
That
was a
doesn't have
matter
to
of
be,
record.
Uh-huh.
that doesn't have to be part of this. Like,
No.
we did our due diligence, here's why we hired who we hired.
All right.
Yeah.
so
Because
Okay.
I watched
this goes this one,
Cat TV's last broadcast, and it seemed to me
this goes this one.
that was an important part of what you needed along with this
It's
letter.
already in
I
the
want a
grant.
copy
I
of
already
that.
put it on
Good
the
enough.
grant line.
Good enough.
I'll go over that with you,
Or-
Julia.
That's all right.
If you read that,
If
you're a
they need it,
genius.
I'll
Okay.
I can read Sid's right, and I'm good.
Did
Okay.
did we need to do something, or did we do something on the paragraph prior to that, number 4?
I kind of have something written about immediately.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
immediately.
change-
Immediate needs
that were
overturned.
Needs
that were
were
tended to.
tended to.
Okay, so we did edit that. Okay,
Yes.
fine.
Okay, and I corrected on that? I did write that.
Yeah, we did do that.
Yeah. Okay,
Good input,
There-
everybody.
there are no guests.
Yes.
So no, well, we have a guest. Any, Bill Botso, yeah. Any public comments?
Guess that would be you,
Yeah,
Bill.
that would be you, Bill.
I think I've already made them.
He's
Okay,
made, he's made
all
it.
right. The ZA log?
Did I do that at the last meeting? You just did?
I have a special meeting, so I don't think you did,
No.
did you?
I don't remember.
Right here is 8:14,
Give it to me.
but you gotta give it back, so I can write your blah blah down.
Okay, basically there was 7 applications, 4 verifications, 2 permits. One was a garage, one was an addition, and 1 subdivision. Met with the track folks to go over the bylaws, meeting planning board and track folks. Call on roadway access to a field, still dealing with that one. Usual window replacement, and et cetera, all the contractors calling about those things these days, that's what's going on, people are trying to tighten up their homes. Call on zoning district of land that one might buy. They wanted to know what they could do with the land, so I had to tell them the district and what was it available in it, and that was it.
Any
For
questions?
August.
Oh, that's nice, that's the shortest one I've had. Woo woo.
Okay, the only other thing I would like to do is just remind the public about the Scratch for Scrap, the Money for Metal program. And just, you'll see these flyers in town. That gives you all the information that you need in order to have someone come give you a value on your scrap metal and end up with cash in your hands. And it gives a phone number if you need more questions, and that number is 413-441-7512. But there are 4 different companies that are listed here, so just would encourage the citizens to take advantage of this program.
The 4 companies are,
Oh, the 4 companies are George Apkin and Sons Incorporated, Brownell's Recycling Center, LeBlanc's Auto Recycling and Repair, and Sawyer's Auto Wrecking Company. And some of these things require a bill of sale, and you can pick up a copy of that here in the town office.
okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion, second?
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
Nobody even abstained.
Okay,
You did good.
nice job, nice job.
Yeah.
Everybody did good,
Yeah,
good input.
yeah.
That's one.
All right, Julie.
I know.